Uh, I'll say hi to people from time to time. I'm not trying to interrupt. I'm just
No, no worries.
in
No
the
worries.
live. So,
No worries.
hello everyone. We've got Pete from Damn Yankee here, and this is a company that I'm shocked that so much time went by without me trying it. I just want to say hi to everybody that stopped in real quick. Ellie Orchard, how's it going? Joshua Ricks, thank you for coming in. E-Rock, Mark Brown, how's it going? And who else have we got in here? I hate when I miss someone. We got Ken the Bearded Accountant. He's a pretty cool guy. Joshua Ricks again. People saying hello to each other. Ooh, and one of my favorites, Love Them Labs. Russ Young, how's it going? And so, Pete, this is the first time I've ever met you, and my first question to you was, when did you start? And you mentioned that was, would you say 4 years ago?
Yeah, 2018. I really started growing my beard out probably like 2015, 2016. And my wife had gotten me kind of one of those gift sets that you get when somebody's just growing their beard out. So it was like all the little, sample size products that you use. And it worked great. I loved it. And, I did what anybody would do. I was like, I Googled the ingredients and I was like, wow, that's really simple to make. And that's really all it took. That was, like end of 2017. And I spent most of early 2018 trying to figure out, the magic bullet, if you will. And that was it. The original beard oil recipe formula that I use has basically been unchanged. The only thing that's different now is that I added broccoli seed oil in, I think, 2019 or 2020.
Okay.
But other than that, the original blend beard oil that we do now is exactly the same as it was when I was Googling what's in beard oil in 2018. So.
And how long has the Sterling blend been out there?
I was wondering that earlier. I believe, if I remember correctly, I think we launched that in March of 2020. So kind of early pandemic days. And the idea, actually, originally, it was my idea originally, but who really made it happen was Kansas City Dave. And also Faithfully Bearded. So we kind of talked about it, and because my beard is fairly gray. I don't know if you can see it behind all this gear, but
yeah, I can see it.
And so I was wondering, is there an oil combination that maybe would work better for gray beards like mine? And Dave turned me on to kukui nut oil. And I was kind of dismissive at first. I was like, oh, it sounds like kind of gimmicky, or, some, weird thing. It turns out it works great. And so I took what I thought were the powerhouse oils from the original blend, so argan and broccoli seed, and combined those with kukui nut. And I had a request back in those days to make the oil a little bit, like you'd noted in your review, the original oil is a little thin. So I had a request to thicken it up a little bit, so I just put a little splash of castor in there at the end. And that was it. We threw it out there, and I didn't know how it was going to go. And in the couple of years since, it's really taken off to the point where we actually do more in Sterling than we do in the original blend at this point.
And something I've noticed, a lot of company owners, they'll have a couple of different blends, and they'll split up what's available. If you want this scent, you get it in that blend. If you want that scent, you get it in that blend. I love that you offer everything, or as far as I could tell, everything in both blends.
Yeah. It didn't start out that way, but I was really encouraged by Beards and Banjos, Brian, to make it available in all the scents. and I'm glad I did because like I said, it really opened things up, and it's been a good ride, and the way that the manufacturing part works for me, I really don't make a whole lot of things ahead of time. So in other words, like 90% of what I make to order. So what that allows me to do is just kind of have those oil blends on standby, and then I can just scent it and get it out. So I it's not a huge hardship for me to have two oil blends because I'm not really making a whole lot of stuff ahead of time.
Gotcha. I guess the one downside for me is I do like the thin blend. Every once in a while, I like to get a thinner oil in there. But I love the Sterling blend so much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any choice but to always order in the Sterling blend. And one thing I got a kick out of, when I saw the blend, I expected it to be a thick oil and was surprised that it was just a medium oil. And I guess, as you just said, a splash of castor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
I think castor makes up around 5 to 7% of the total volume of Sterling, so it's not much. I've got to be honest, I don't really like castor. It's just kind of thick and sticky. And I know some people, especially a lot of you in the Northeast, where it really gets cold. Kind of appreciate that. But like, for me being down here in the depths of the the deep South, it just I'm not a huge fan of castor. So there's just enough in there for me to enjoy it, but not to where it's kind of pancake syrup.
And I've always liked when it's on the tail end, just a little bit to give it that extra lustrousness that you get from the castor. And Joshua Ricks mentioned that he's never tried.
Ooh, all right.
So Joshua, it looks like you've got to give it a shot.
Yeah, we do 2-gram samples for $2 or $3 depending on what the scent is, and most of the time they ship for free. So yeah. Find a scent profile that sounds good, and get a couple little cheapy samples, and if you don't like it, you don't have to break the bank.
And I absolutely love the cedar, tobacco, and vanilla. I think I mentioned in my review I was a little. I didn't know if I was reading it right, and watching the Beards and Banjos review that I did, I think 2 or 3 years ago, really kind of let me know I was on the right track as far as not getting it completely wrong, not completely missing something. And agrees.
I'm so humbled by it. I mean, with Brian, in appreciation of that scent, and he brought to my attention not too long ago, and it was really kind of mind blowing to me. I mean, he has literally tried thousands of beard oils, and of those, one of his favorites is that cedar tobacco vanilla. So it's really humbling that I was able to do something that kind of cut through the the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and I'll especially love it once we get into the colder weather.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm wearing it right now. The oil and butter.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't necessarily think it, but South Texas has a lot of cedar trees down there. The particular, and I know if you get really specific, you can get into the species of tree. This particular one is like a Mexican cedar that comes from South Texas. In fact, the particular one that I use is from a place called Uvalde, which unfortunately made the news not too long ago. Yes. So that cedar oil comes from the town of Uvalde down in South Texas.
Is that close to you, Uvalde?
Not particularly, no. It's it's way south. It's most of the way to Mexico. It's it's funny. People who aren't from this area don't necessarily realize how big Texas is, but I mean you can drive 9 hours and still be in Texas. So it's a gargantuan place, but so it's nowhere near me. But I try to support Texas vendors when I can.
I think that is hard for someone like me to understand. In my state, from any point within an hour, you can drive across the whole state. It's
Yeah.
possible that it might take longer for one of the coastal, most southernmost regions to get
Yeah.
to the northern part, but for the
Well,
most part,
it was really funny. So in 2016, my wife and I took a little mini vacation, and we flew to Boston, and we're from Texas, so we don't know anything from anything. We flew into Boston, and we drove like maybe an hour into Rhode Island, and I was like, well, that was nothing. That was like my drive to work, and we're already like 2 states over, and I was like, well, that's crazy. So yeah, it goes the other way as well. When you're from a huge place, then you go to, you can be 2 states over in a matter of like an hour. It's kind of a wild thing.
yeah, for people in this state, if something's 20 minutes away, I mean, it's a hassle. I'm not going there. It's too damn
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
We've got a bridge that separates the state for the Providence River, and
Mhm.
actually drive over the bridge. I mean, it's maybe 20 minutes from my house, and it's,
Right.
like you're going into another country. Yeah,
Yeah.
True North is from Massachusetts as well.
There you go.
Boston Irishman. And
Yeah.
Ellie mentioned earlier, I wanted to say, I think she said something like, don't sleep on the soap either. So
Oh.
I take it that means that
Yeah.
you offer soaps.
We do. Yeah. No, Ellie's 2 for 2 on Damn Yankee giveaways. She's been there in the last few weeks, but yeah, we sell soaps, bar soaps, and also liquid body wash as well, which is like a natural Castile body wash that I do with I scent with all essential oils, so there's nothing synthetic. So I don't think we're known for that, not at this point anyway, but we do a pretty decent soap.
I was curious with the liquid soap. Is that meant for the beard as well?
You can wait. Did I send you?
Yes, you did.
Okay, yeah. It's you can, but I wouldn't use it as your regular wash. The pH is a little too high. So it's not going to hurt your beard, but I would not make it a daily thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I loved that scent. In fact, I was washing my hands with today. Just to get the scent again. I was, just kind of taken aback at how much I liked the scent.
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, I know some other makers who kind of shy away from essential oils because there's this perception that, it limits you in terms of what you can do, and you can only do so many things with essential oils, and I mean, to an extent that's true. So I try to kind of push the envelope a little bit in the sense that, I mean, some of those soaps have some things in there you would not necessarily expect.
Well, and in your oils, you're using fragrance oils as well.
It's a combination. It's
Okay.
and you'll note if you're on the website, or if anybody gets on the website looking around, I note on each product page what kind of scent it is, whether it's all fragrance, whether it's all essentials, or if it's a combination of the two. Like, for example, with that cedar tobacco vanilla, I mean, there's really, unless you're using like a tobacco absolute, there's really no such thing as tobacco essential oil. So that's a fragrance.
And I just noticed what you mean.
Yeah.
You put the scent type, essential and fragrance oils.
Yeah. I just think people should know. I mean, it probably doesn't matter to a lot of people. But in the interest of transparency, I just, for those people who do like only natural products, I mean, I've got a few scents that are 100% essential oils.
What would be an example of one of them?
Well, a couple of them, and one of these I've had around for a while. I've got a scent called Port Isabel, and Port Isabel it couldn't be any simpler. It's just two things. It's sweet orange and it's black pepper. and they sound kind of strange together. But something about that combination really works.
And is that offered now? Because I'm looking, I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
It's over to the right.
And one that I don't think I have it on the website anymore. There's one called Nightlight, and Nightlight is lavender, vanilla, and cedar. And the that one is all natural as well. And so just trying to do some different things with essential oils so that they don't all smell the same.
And do you offer a lavender scent right now? I don't.
I really don't. I mean, I do it on occasion. For some reason, and I don't know if this is like an alpha male testosterone thing, but like for some reason, lavender is just kind of universally reviled among beard guys, and I'm not sure why that is. But
I think I know. My first couple of experiences with lavender scents were not from good companies.
Yeah.
Bad ones with
right.
bad stuff in the oils.
Yeah.
And I get a bad attitude towards it. And little by little by little, as I try new scents that have lavender in them,
yeah,
and they do it right, I just today I was at a client and they had hand soap that was cedar and lavender. No, I'm sorry, patchouli and lavender.
Oh, yeah.
And I found myself dying to wash my hands so I could see what it was. And sounds like a great combination.
Patchouli and lavender smell great together. I had a scent about this time last year that was, among other things, it was patchouli and lavender and leather, and I liked it. I don't know, but yeah, it just in general, lavender is kind of the kiss of death of beard products. So I try not to use it a lot.
I can understand that. Why make it if no one's going to buy it? I've been trying to open my mind and try things when I see lavender in it. And Philip says Port Isabel is really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Now, for myself, I think that's one I might have. I've got the same way a lot of people hear lavender and they bow out. I hear black pepper and I get afraid.
Yeah. And I understand that. I mean, if it's if you have a sensitivity to it, it can be a little overwhelming. So.
And a lot of it might just be a predisposition towards thinking I'm not going to like it. I kind of, from time to time, order things I don't think I'm going to like, just to kind of, try and see past my, my predispositions to think I'm not going to like something.
Yeah.
And now, do you sell any kind of, merch? There it is.
Yeah, it's a little limited. I put most of my money into raw materials, so my my selection of goodies is not quite as extensive as some of my colleagues, but so I try to do what I can, though.
I see one that looks kind of interesting to me. Port Isabel seasoning.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the story behind that. So a few years back, we went on vacation to the very, very southern part of Texas, part called Padre Island. That's almost to Mexico, but there's some pretty nice beaches in Texas. There's some crap ones too, but there's some pretty nice ones. And right across the bridge from Padre Island is a place called Port Isabel. It has a real famous lighthouse that's on the label. That's actually the Port Isabel lighthouse on the label. Anyway, so it's no surprise that in Texas, Mexican and American culture kind of intermingle and blend here, and so this is a spice mixture that they use down there. It's an orange and black pepper spice mixture. They put it on everything. They put it on steaks, chicken, and it was just amazing. And so I found out what was in it and started making it, and of course the rest is history. So.
Well, the reason it jumped out to me, I mean, I've seen a million with lemon and pepper, never orange and pepper.
Right.
And I'm an orange fanatic, so
Oh yeah. It's a really interesting thing. Yeah, it's along those same lines, but it doesn't have quite that snap that you get from lemon pepper.
cool. And David Brown here said something about I love studio. Is that one of your scents? Or
Yeah. Oh wow. That David, that goes back. I appreciate the. He's got a good memory. That went back to like 2019. So I wanted to make. I don't have a ton of tattoos, but I'm kind of a tattoo guy, and I wanted to make a scent that smelled like a tattoo studio, which is kind of a conceptual thing, but I ran across a couple of fragrances that, when you put them together, smelled like it's called green soap, which is the soap that tattoo artists use when they're cleaning somebody up. It's got a very specific smell to it. So yeah, that was. I love the smell of it, but that was one of the worst selling scents I've ever made in the 4 years that I've been doing this, and so.
well, you've got one
I'm good.
one fan.
Mark, I think you were the only one that bought it. You and me were the only ones that ever used that, but I appreciate
I think that was David.
Oh, David, sorry. Yeah, I think David, you're the only one that bought that, but I appreciate the I appreciate the support.
And what else have we got here? Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask Pete?
Do anything fun in Boston? I've got to be honest with you. It was kind of one of those country mouse, city mouse things, right? Where we flew into Logan, right? And granted, I'm from Dallas, so I mean, we got a pretty huge airport out here as well. But there's something about people in Boston. It driving there is terrifying. It's if you're from the South, it's because everybody is just right up on each other, and so plus we didn't really know the town very well, so it was just kind of a terrifying experience. But we went out to Cape Cod and went whale watching and did all that, and all the stuff that people from out of town do, right? Like. So all the touristy stuff that real people from Boston probably wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole was all the stuff that we did.
And what type of year? What time of year did you go?
We went for my birthday, which is early October. So it was a little bit cool, but not cold yet. And the coolest thing was, I mean, we had a hotel that was right off of the beach. And in Plymouth, and we just kept the doors open and just heard the ocean all night as we were sleeping. And it was just a wonderful thing, because you can't sleep with the doors open here. You'll either be consumed by mosquitoes, or the heat will definitely get you.
Yeah, sleeping by the ocean is definitely beautiful. I just went rafting the other week. Mm-hmm. And one of my things that I absolutely want to do is next year make sure we're right on the river, so you can listen to that all night long.
Nice. There you go.
And True North says fall in New England is legendary. Yeah. If you were here for the changing of the trees changing color, that's usually a big thing for tourists.
Yeah.
Take a ride up to New Hampshire and,
Well, everybody who's not from the Northeast, that's what we want, right? Because we've seen those Hallmark movies and the Norman Rockwell paintings where everything in the Northeast everything's orange and red and yellow and gold, and everyone's having a wonderful time. That's what we want. Changing of the seasons in Texas is like everything goes from green to brown in about a week. That's the changing of the seasons here. Everything goes from green to like dead and brown.
Now, did you get a chance to catch any of that, or?
No, I think,
October is kind of late, I think.
Yeah, I think we missed it by a couple of weeks. It was funny. I mean, we tried, but my understanding is it's kind of a moving target, right? And they have I think there are websites dedicated to, when to come and how's this year looking, and So we tried, but I think we missed it by 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it moves from north to south.
Yeah.
Their peak comes up in New Hampshire, and ours comes a week later.
Yeah.
To me, I've never traveled to see it. I mean, I just drive up and down the road, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty.
What type of scent is your tobacco? Vanilla. I would Ken, feel free to field that one. I would call it more smooth than spicy.
I would absolutely say smooth. Definitely not spicy.
Yeah.
Though
The tobacco fragrance that I use for CTV is definitely a pipe tobacco. I have a like cigar tobacco as well that I've used it a couple of times, but it tends to take over whatever it's in. So,
in fact, I'm looking forward to, once we get into the fall a little bit, trying the cedar, tobacco, and vanilla for maybe 4 or 5 days in a row, and see if I can catch that. I got a kick out of Brian when he talked about how all he could get was the pipe tobacco, and I'm thinking, me too. And then he said, I think he said after 3 or 4 days, some light came on in his brain, and it wasn't that he could now tell the cedar was there. The cedar was as powerful as the tobacco was, but he could now differentiate it. And I think you mentioned he's a little used to the cedar you use, and that might have helped him.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny I was a little surprised to hear that, because just the essential oil on its own is really punchy. Like, I mean, you open that bottle up and the whole office is just filled with that cedar. So I was a little surprised to hear that, but I guess it's just the way it's blended, maybe. So.
Well, and as he said, once he tuned into it, it was clear as day. So I'm looking forward to it being clear as day to me. I mean, I like it the way I smell it now.
Yeah.
But I'd feel better about myself if I could pick them out. And David says, you nailed the whole tattoo shop scent in the green soap profile. And do you do customs? I think I looked, but didn't see them.
I do, in the sense that I sometimes resurrect old discontinued scents. I have kind of an archive that I've kept of everything that we've done previously. So if something's off of the website, most times I can remake it by request. In terms of like a straight up custom, I mean, officially yes, but it's difficult because everything is so subjective. And so it's difficult to nail down exactly what a client is looking for. So, I mean, strictly speaking, yes, but I mean, there's kind of a process to it.
Well, I guess David is looking to see if there's any chance of him ever experiencing the tattoo shop again.
Yeah, I mean, I have it in the archive. And I've got of course, the formula documented. I would just need to go back in and, I mean, any of the raw materials that I used for that in 2019 are probably long turned by now, but, provided those are still available, yeah, I absolutely could.
Hi, Brian.
Is Viking AF here to stay? It's one of my all-time favorite scents. Well, thank you. Jury is still out. So I came out with a couple of scents, one called Viking AF and another one called Texan AF not long ago, and everything on the website, it's kind of a Game of Thrones situation on my website, because if scents sell, they stay. If they don't sell, they go away. So Texan AF has done pretty well. That's vanilla, oak, and whiskey. And Viking AF, not as much, but I will probably make the decision here in the next few weeks. Viking AF is oh my goodness, leather, sea salt, mahogany.
I can tell you what it says.
Oh, yeah.
Spruce, cedar, sea salt, leather.
Oh, there you go.
I love the name. I hadn't noticed that scent before. When I came across it, I was it's
well, the I only have Damn Yankee is largely, online only, but I do have one barber shop that we sell through down in the Austin area, called True Barber Shop. My buddy Derek down there, and Derek is first of all, he's an enormous man. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's a barber in a place called Taylor, Texas, and he's an enormous man that is into hot rods, punk rock, and Viking cosplay, which is an unusual combination. But that's actually Derek on the label of Viking AF, in his full, regalia, his Viking get-up. So that's actually him on the label. But, it's just one of those things that I had a really nice sea salt fragrance that I like a lot. And I've used it a couple of times, and that was one of those.
Now, if I were to get samples, this is one of the ones I'd try to sample. For some reason, I'm always afraid spruce is going to be like pine, and again, I've got to start trying some of those scents that just they sound like maybe I'm not going to like it. And,
yeah. I use
widen my horizons.
Yeah, spruce is my black spruce from Canada is my go-to for making something smell like a tree, because it's absolutely perfect. As long as you don't use too much. Doing a hay scent. The short answer is no. I mean, I've run across some absolutes before that were purported to have a hay scent to them. But it's just one of those things that I haven't quite gotten around to.
I think I was watching a live stream the other day, and the topic was, has anyone ever heard of someone doing a hay scent? And I don't know if Western Rim was part of that discussion, but
yeah, it's there is an essential oil, I believe, and I may butcher the pronunciation because I've never used it. I believe it's helichrysum, that has kind of that dry, grassy kind of aroma to it. The only problem is, and this is the real problem with essential oils, right, is that some of them are super cheap, right? Like you can use them all day long. Orange is cheap, lavender's cheap. But then there are some that are incredibly expensive, like just ridiculously expensive. And helichrysum is one of those. So I've never used it just because manufacturing a scent to scale with something like that is just not financially feasible for me.
in fact, everlasting flowers. Yeah, and you said they smell sort of like dry grass.
That was the understanding that I had, was that it was kind of an earthy, grassy smell.
I had never heard of it before, and according to Google, has a strong curry-like smell. Does that sound at all?
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust Google.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things that oh, hey Russ. No, unfortunately Kentucky Mule has gone the way of the dodo. It exists no longer, only in our memory.
And what was Kentucky Mule?
Kentucky Mule was I every now and then I do some kind of cocktail inspired scents, and that was one of those. Kentucky Mule was lime and ginger and mint and a whiskey fragrance.
Sounds actually pretty awesome.
I liked it. I wish more people did like it, but it I use essential oils when I can, like I said, when it's financially feasible. And I have a supplier that makes a ginger essential oil that is really spectacular, so I use it as often as I can. It smells, if you like a scent of fresh ginger, like you've kind of popped open a ginger root, this is that. So I've tried to use it as much as I can.
Ian Phillips says Viking AF would be nice with mahogany.
Well, cool.
I don't know. Cedar is one of my favorites. So,
Yeah.
in fact, it seems like you've got a bit of a love for orange.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered doing an orange cedar?
I've done it before. I like it. I don't love it. I did it as a custom for a customer a couple of years ago. They don't play particularly well together. I don't know what it is about it that they kind of clash for me, but yeah, but you definitely can do it. But again, I mean, the reason I use orange a lot is really twofold. I mean, number one, it smells great, and I mean, it smells just like a freshly peeled orange. Well, I mean, in fact, it's made by smashing a bunch of orange peels, but so it smells great and it's cheap, which as a manufacturer appeals to me because that means I can put it in a lot of things and I can get a lot of bang for my buck with that one.
When you say that you don't think it really smells good together, I think the first time I tried orange cedar, I really kind of didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I intentionally brought it with me on vacation and kind of forced myself to wear it several days in a row. And now it's close to my favorite scent in the world. Oh,
nice.
And
okay. Well, sorry, go ahead.
My favorite orange cedar is not being made any longer. So somebody else jumps into the orange cedar game.
There you go. Maybe I need to step up and do that. I try to keep an open mind. It's just just because I didn't particularly care for it a couple years back doesn't mean that I wouldn't like it now. So I try to stay open minded.
And like I said, the thing that I got a kick out of is I started not liking it, thinking it kind of didn't really smell good.
Right.
And now I just,
yeah.
I'm sorrowful that I can't. There is one company that makes it, but it's not quite the same as the original company that I tried it from. And what else have we got here for comments? Now, do you have... Oh, Ian Russ wants to talk about...
Pipe Dream.
Pipe Dream.
Yeah. Pipe Dream is one that we did a couple of years ago. It's pipe tobacco and orange and vanilla. So, in other words, like a dreamsicle with pipe tobacco. I didn't expect it to work, and it really did. So that one that was one of the last ones to make the permanent lineup.
Well, you've got Pipe Bomb right now, and do you still have Pipe Dream, or that's?
Oh yeah. The Pipe Bomb and Pipe Dream are both permanent additions to the family, if you will.
Yeah, when I hear that combination, I think to myself, how could it not work? I mean, tobacco and vanilla is going to work no matter what.
Yeah.
And orange added to anything in my book is.
It's a really interesting smell. It's kind of hard to describe. But then Pipe Bomb has been around for a while for us. I think we released it at the beginning of 2019. And so that's been kind of the perennial bestseller for us. And
David is saying that your leather scent is a real banger. I'm wondering which he's not talking about Viking, I'm assuming.
Well, there's leather in that one. I don't use leather a lot only because it kind of tends to take over whatever it's in. Where I use it the most is in a scent called Papa's Chair, which is leather and tobacco. Kind of your classic. I mean, there's probably no more classic men's, fragrance elements than tobacco and leather. But
I'm assuming that's what David Bearded, who's your reviews, is talking about.
Yeah, I was fortunate early on to find a few fragrance oils that I really, really like. I'm using the same pipe tobacco and the same leather fragrances today that I used on day one. So, as long as they keep making those, I'll keep using them.
And Nicholas C has a quick question. He wants to know when you do add a scent to the website, how long? I guess he's asking what's the minimum time
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, so essentially, the way Damn Yankee works is we have a core of I think like 6 or 8 scents that are on. Hey, Martin. We have a core of like 6 or 8 or 9 scents that are on year round, and then there are others that we rotate in and out seasonally. In fact, we've got new stuff coming here in about 2 weeks, week and a half. No, September 5th. So we rotate stuff in. To answer your question, about every 3 months, right? So summer stuff started early June, and it's about to go away Labor Day weekend. So,
Ian, can you tell us what's going to be on the chopping block in case someone wants to get out there and reorder something?
Yeah. So summer stuff is going away September 1st. It's everything in the summer collection's 20 off right now if you use the code SUMMER20. When you check out, but that's the four scents that we did for summer was the one that you have there called Painkiller, which is pineapple, orange, lime, and rum. Well, I say rum, it's really more brown sugar, but there was also Coco Loco, which is just a straight ahead coconut vanilla bean. There is the one that would really I still like it, but not many people bought it. There's one called Freaky Tiki.
I was just looking at that. Smoked
pineapple.
Sounds
it's a smoked pineapple. It's really interesting. It's basically a pineapple campfire scent, if you can imagine that. It didn't do that great, but that's okay. Sometimes I throw stuff out there that's weird, and it either works or it doesn't. And then the fourth one was called Senior Year, which is kind of, I don't do cologne scents a lot just because I think it's kind of a cop out, but so that was kind of my ode to a cologne that I might have worn, in about 1984 or 85.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, when I saw the description 80s cologne,
yeah,
I really didn't know what
it's not modeled after a specific one, but it's more of a vibe, right? So it's kind of in that. My original idea was that I wanted, because when I was about 14 or 15, I bathed in Halston Z14. And so that was my go-to, like trying too hard teenage cologne was that one. And I'm not skilled enough to pull that off. Hippie Hollow is... as far as I know, the only cannabis-scented beard product on the market, but it's hard to say. So I would say they're equally prominent. You've got to be really careful with peppermint for 2 reasons. Number one, if you put too much in, it can be irritating to the skin. But secondly, just it's an overwhelming peppermint essential oil. Yeah, peppermint essential oil is just a face punch of I would say about Hippie Hollow, first of all, peppermint and cannabis smell great together. I don't know why. I experimented one day a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, that's really amazing. And if you're not sure about it, get it as a 2-gram sample. I think it's like $2.99. Just give it a shot. I've had one client describe it as a religious experience. I don't know that I would go that far, but it does smell pretty good.
And it looks like we've got Brian in here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brian. Thank you for coming in. There were a lot of kind words spoken about you not too long ago.
Yeah. So yeah, no, and I guess we can say that we're going to be doing a live release with Brian on September 5th. I think I can say that of all the fall stuff. So. I can, so there's a couple of, I don't even think Brian knows this yet, but we're going to re-release. I've never re-released a scent ever, only because I kind of don't like to look back. I just kind of like to keep going, in another direction. So I've never really re-released a scent that we've had out previously, but I'm doing it this time around with a scent from 2019 called Bountiful. And Bountiful is pipe tobacco and autumn spices. I'm calling it autumn spices so that I don't say pumpkin spice.
Gotcha.
which is it sounds like a really strange combination at first, but it's really 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 good, and I've never been able to quite get it out of my mind from 3 years ago, so I'm re-releasing it this time around, and it is fall in a bottle as far as I'm concerned.
Gotcha. And thank you, Mark, complimenting the dogs. Yeah. And now, if you had to pick your favorite scent, either existing now or since the beginning of time, that
Wow.
you created.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, it's cedar tobacco vanilla for me is kind of that's the one that I'm most proud of. I think personally, just because it's kind of become a signature scent for me. Hippie Hollow, which is the cannabis peppermint scent, is kind of meaningful to me personally because Hippie Hollow is a real place down outside of Austin. Hippie Hollow is the only clothing optional beach in the state of Texas. So that's kind of a personal story for me. I think overall, my favorite scents tend to be whatever I'm working on at that moment. So
Gotcha.
I just posted one today, in fact, that we're going to be releasing on September 5th. I've actually been sitting on this one for a long time, almost a year, and it's called Spirit Guide. Spirit Guide is tobacco, Palo Santo, and sage. And it is, I hope people like this one because this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best things we've done in the last year or two. It's a really unique, earthy kind of scent that I hope people like.
It's funny that you mentioned Palo Santo. You could mention 100 colognes, and that'd probably be one of the 2 or 3 that I actually know what it smells like.
Oh, yeah. It's it's a really interesting. Palo Santo is a really interesting smell. And the others are going to be, well, I mean, I guess I could say it here. I mean, 'cause it's going to be out in a week, but I'm going to be releasing and this will be up Brian's alley. I don't think you know this yet, but I'm releasing a black tea and bergamot scent. And we are going to also do I haven't done a coffee scent in a long time. So we're going to be doing a kind of a twist on a coffee scent.
Coffee scents, I mean, I love them, but it's one of those things I love them once in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious what the coffee scent will be.
So this one, the coffee, the espresso is kind of way off in the background. This is my favorite dessert of all time, which is an Italian dessert that has espresso and some lady fingers that some people may know.
And Brian says, can't wait to try Spirit Guide, in that you've been teasing him for years. And I think you froze, Pete. And what else do we have here? And Brian says he loves tea profiles and beers. Got my boys here too. I think Pete is frozen. I don't think. I thought he was just stopping for a moment to think. And Mark Brown says tea scents are nice. I love pumpkin spice, but spiced apple is so much better. Couldn't agree with you more, Ellie. Anything apple is tiramisu. Yeah. I thought he was getting stuck on trying to think of the name, and that's why he froze. In fact, Western Rim, I'm trying to remember when these conversations occurred. We were talking earlier about, at some point there was some sort of conversation about a hay scent, and I think in the same stream, I don't even know if it was my stream, we were talking about a Lord of the Rings scent. And I think we were talking about which company would probably be best to do Lord of the Rings series. Dog people are the best people. I saw one of those little Instagram posts that it's something about the difference between regular people and happy people is being covered in fur. In fact, my car is pretty much impossible to let anyone else drive in, ride in with me because it's just covered in fur. I take these two guys with me pretty much. Yeah, he's trying not to sneeze. Pete is frozen. Yes, he is. You know what? I don't think I've ever had a tea scent. I've had tea tree, which I think is kind of similar. One oil to rule them all. Well, and I get a kick out of how he mentioned that the scents on his site, pretty much follow a Game of Thrones. Kind of, those who produce survive, and those that don't, go the way of the dinosaur. Tiramisu, yeah, yeah, I remember that conversation, but I can't remember whether it was oh, there he is. How long were you waiting there? I
there.
have a bad habit of not noticing someone pop up down there.
Oh, no idea.
But yeah, a lot of us, I think, thought you kind of stopped to try and remember the name. I think it was Tiramisu.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were stopping to remember the name. And then you were stopped.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so far of the fall scents that are coming out, I think that one's going to be my favorite.
And there was a question that came up for you earlier. I think someone asked if we'd get a warning about new scents coming out on Instagram.
Oh yeah, we're super active on Instagram. Yeah, if you follow Damn Yankee at Damn Yankee Beard on Instagram, yeah, we're definitely going to be. I try to post as much as I can. But yeah, we'll definitely be making announcements. But it's looking like, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn if Brian's still with us, but September 5th, which is that Monday of Labor Day weekend, I think we're going to do a live release.
And Western Ram want to know if you would ever do a Lord of the Rings series of scents.
So Mrs. Yankee and I talked about that. So last fall, Mrs. Yankee and I are both super into Harry Potter. I mean, more so her than me, but I mean, we're both kind of ridiculous about it. So last fall, I released a collection of Harry Potter themed scents, and it was far and away the most successful collection we've ever released in 4 years, just ridiculously so. And so we were tossing around the idea earlier this year of, what's another, fandom that we can co-opt for our own purposes. And Lord of the Rings definitely was in the discussion. So I have not done anything with it, but I would not at all be surprised if something went that way.
And what time of year did you do the other series? Was it a winter thing or?
It was about this time last year. So that was our fall collection last year. Was the one that I called Back to School, which was for Harry Potter themed scents.
For some reason, when I think of a theme like that, I don't think about spring or summer.
Yeah.
Fall or winter.
The idea, we called it Back to School, right? So the idea was, like in the first book when they're all first years and they have the whole where they're literally going to Hogwarts for the first time and experiencing things for the first time. So it was kind of themed on that. Plus, Mrs. Yankee and I go to Universal in Orlando every year and do Harry Potter stuff there. So in fact,
I think maybe Mrs. Yankee might be more interested in this, but Ellie mentioned that Google Assistant responds to Harry Potter spells.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Loomis turns on your flashlight, I guess.
it does. Alexa also responds to certain commands. Um, Harry Potter series make a reappearance at some time. It may. It was the most successful collection that we've ever released, and again, I'm hesitant to re-release stuff, but if I were going to, that would definitely be a couple of them anyway. Some were more popular than others. So we did 4 cents, right? One for each house. So we did a Hufflepuff scent that was butterbeer. It was butterscotch and rum, and oh gosh, I forget what else the other thing was. We did a Gryffindor scent that was called pumpkin juice, which was apple and cinnamon and a few other things. And then we did a Slytherin scent that was called Forbidden Forest, and that was cedar and spruce, and literally dirt. There's a fragrance oil called Dirt. That one was not hugely popular, but and then the Ravenclaw scent was called Restricted Section, which is a reference to their library. So it was kind of a library scent.
I'm curious, the Dirt scent, what was that?
So one of the most fun things for me about doing this is that you really can trick the brain into experiencing things, right? So we were talking earlier about like this leather fragrance. Obviously there's no way to make a real leather oil, right? Like you can't cold press a bomber jacket into leather oil, but so it's a fragrance that tricks your brain into smelling leather when there's no leather there. And I'm fascinated by this concept, right? That the right mixture of chemicals can fool your brain into experiencing something that's not real. I'm absolutely fascinated by this, and so that was a perfect example. There's a fragrance oil out there that's called Dirt, and you open it, and it smells like wet earth. It smells like your garden, right? Like that kind of wet, earthy smell. And if you've seen the movies and you've seen the Forbidden Forest and the Potter series, everything is just kind of gross and damp and wet. And I wanted to make something that had that mossy, earthy smell. And for me, that was it. So
well, it's funny as you described them. That was the one that kind of seemed the most interesting to me.
Yeah,
most kind of outside the box kind of.
That's kind of becoming, I wouldn't say a trademark for us, but I think it's really hard to do something new in this business, right? Because there are so many people that are doing this now that it's really hard to create something that hasn't been seen before. So the end result of that is that you have to push yourself further and further outside the box. So that's why some of these things like peppermint and cannabis, right? And that's why you have to push yourself outside the box, because that's how you're going to do things that aren't duplicative of other people's work. So for me, releasing something that smelled like a tree, but also smelled like the earth beneath the tree, that was kind of where it was at for me. But I'm absolutely fascinated by this trickery of the brain with these chemicals.
I get a kick out of how subjective it is within yourself. In other words, your mental attitude towards what you're smelling, it can completely change it. I mean, I've had scents that I really kind of disliked, and then over time, I just find something about it I appreciate, and my whole concept of it can change. And Russ, I think Pete answered it that the Dirt blend was not the bestseller.
It turns out that beard guys don't want their beard to smell like dirt. So strangely, that didn't work out at all.
Maybe it was the wrong name, and that was the.
So that's kind of where I'm getting to at this point as a maker, is that the descriptions that I put up on the website, I absolutely want people to look at that description and go, yeah, that's exactly what I smell. And so, for example, this fall with this tiramisu set, I want people to smell this and be like, that smells exactly like a tiramisu. So, a little bit sweet, a little bit creamy, a little bit, you got that little bit of espresso in the background. So, I absolutely want people to experience that for themselves.
And I'm sorry, Russ put a comment up, and I'm not sure which one he wants removed. I don't know if it was this one, but Russ, if that's the one, let me know, and I'll figure out how to get rid of it.
Yeah, no, for Forbidden Forest was not a big seller, but
oh, so that was the name, Forbidden Forest, but the description was dirt.
Yeah. So this comment right here is why I try not to do, unless it's really spot on, I try not to do food scents, because a lot of guys have that same feedback, right? Like, I don't want my beard smelling like cookies, or like, we're coming into fall and winter, so you're going to see a lot of companies that are doing like, cookie scents and, bread and gingerbread and all of that. And I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't want my face smelling like, a gingerbread cookie, but at the same time, I try to go into it with an attitude of like, this is a seasonal thing. Let's have some fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with my beard smelling like food. If it smells like apple pie, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And Joshua said, what about coffee?
Yeah. Yeah, coffee is one of those things people either love it or hate it. I still have one of our scents that we launched with in 2018. It's called Flat White. And Flat White is one of the only coffee scents that we've ever done. And it's not a huge seller. In fact, I've thought about getting rid of it a few times. But I think people either love it or hate it. It's just one of those things, kind of like lavender. You either like it or it gives you a raging migraine. So it's, one of those.
Gotcha.
One of those things.
And we just hit the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
I usually try and shut it down only because we've got a couple of live streams that come on after me, and I try not to step on their time slot.
Sure.
But anything else you want to tell everyone before we head out? I know I'll mention that if you decide to make another cedar orange, I think that would be absolutely wonderful. Just to let you know, the company that made the first cedar orange I tried was Black Rebel, and I absolutely loved it. It was strong enough, lasting enough. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
Right now, Beard Brothers has got one, but it's kind of the same, but not quite the same.
Yeah.
It's holding me over.
Okay.
Until you make one, and then I'll be happy again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got both of those things in house, so it's just a matter of putting them together. And
so now if you did mention that you kind of have, I can't think of the word, customs.
Yeah.
If it's a scent that you used to make and you had the ingredients and all that.
Yeah.
How would someone go to your site and order something like that?
The best first step is to DM me on Instagram. That goes directly to my phone. I get that notification on my lock screen. So the absolute quickest way to get a hold of me is to message me on Instagram. You can also email damyankeebeard@gmail.com. And I'll get that as well. But the absolute quickest way to get me is through Instagram.
So, David, if you're still listening and you want that tattoo shop one, and I would imagine there's some sort of additional fee.
Really no. I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, I've already done the work on the front end, so it's just a matter of recreating it. And if I still have labels or if I need to recreate labels, but yeah, no, in terms of extra charge, I'm not trying to rip people off. So.
Now, is that something you look forward to seeing in your DM, or something that, I'll do it, but I'm not thrilled to see it?
No, to be honest with you, the fact that David remembers a scent that I did from 3 years ago is really humbling, right? Like, because it was only out for 3 months. And so the fact that he still remembers that all these years later, really, really blows my mind, and I'm just glad that I've been able to do something here that people, people remember and that people have enjoyed. It gives me a lot of satisfaction to do that.
And I had one final question. When I got
Yeah.
when you sent me the bomb, initially I thought it was unscented, but
Mhm.
it's got a nice scent in here. This is sterling. I'm
Yeah.
so foolish. For some reason, when I saw sterling, I was thinking,
Yeah, Sterling. Well, it's kind of confusing, and that's my fault. Sterling is a scent also, in addition to being a carrier oil blend. So there is a Sterling scent. So yeah, the balm I sent you was part of. I did a special run of Sterling balms for a client, and I had a couple left over, and I was packaging up your stuff one of those days, and I was just like, I'm going to throw that in there and see what he thinks.
and this is an example of one that if I knew what was in it beforehand, I might have had a bad attitude if I saw the black pepper.
Hmm.
And because I put this in thinking at first it was unscented, I was like,
Yeah.
that smells nice. And
Yeah, it's on the cologne side for me. But anyway, so it's just one of those things. And again, it's really simple. It's basically the beard butter that I make with the addition of some beeswax, and that's it.
yep. And I did want to mention I've got your products in now.
Oh, nice.
And I've been really impressed with how, as my beard got longer, I've had trouble keeping it kind of neat. But with your products, the Sterling blend in the butter, no problems whatsoever.
Well, I appreciate that.
Usually I do these with a little tie in it to keep it neat, but
Right.
it was looking good. So
Well,
I
that's
went with
good.
it.
Well, I appreciate the vote of support.
And thank you, Pete, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you to everybody that showed up to watch. Hope to see you guys next week. In fact, people are bailing because they're getting to other live streams. So,
all right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you for coming in.
Yes,
And
sir.
thank you to everyone that showed up to watch us.
Okay. We'll see you. Thanks.
And